I have a very interesting subject. I call it 5 simple steps to go from average to fortune. Let me give you this simple little talk. How to go from average to fortune. There's 5 simple steps. You might like to make a note of them. Here's the first one. Get serious. That's number 1. I don't know any substitute for that. You've really got to get serious. You don't have to be grim, but you must be serious. I know a guy that's got a half a dozen jokes keeping him from becoming wealthy. He's not known as rich. He's known as a joker, which I guess is okay if that's the kind of life you want to live. But it really isn't the best way to live. To go from average to fortune, you must get serious. And you must get serious about 2 very important things. Number 1 is setting your goals and where you want to go. Designing the next 5, the next 10 years is so vitally important. What do you want to do economically? Where do you want to go? What do you want to be? What would you like to have? What would you like to share? How much would you like to earn? How far would you like to go? Those are some major questions to ask. And for that all to work out like you want it to for the next 5 or 10 years, in my personal opinion, you've got to get serious. Then you have to get serious about another important subject. And that important subject is called personal development. Personal development is striving hard to become the kind of person that you want to be. And to become the kind of person you want to be, you've got to work at it. 10 years from now, you will surely become someone. The big question is, who? What are you becoming? And if you go to work on it now, sure enough, in a very short period of time, you can take on a new direction to become the kind of person you want to be. There's a very important question to ask, and the question is, 10 years from now, you will surely arrive. And the question is, where? So to answer the question of where you want to arrive and the kind of person you want to be, you've got to get serious. So that's point number 1. To make your life worthwhile and unique, to go from average to fortune, you've got to get serious. Now, the second point is, get smart. To make your life work out worthwhile, you've got to have some ideas. You've got to have the information. So you've got to be smart. In fact, in this decade, you must be much smarter than you were in the last decade. You've got to read the books. You've got to come up with the information. When I have a chance to talk to the high school kids, that's the theme of my talk. Get smart. There's nothing worse than being stupid. And if you will read the books, learn from your experiences, do all the things that you possibly can to get the information, sure enough, you'll be wiser this year than you were last year. And I've got a few techniques that I teach in my seminar on how to get smarter, keeping a journal, going to the lectures, going to the seminars, listening to the sermons, picking up ideas from other people. You just must keep up this steady process of learning. Never cease your quest for knowledge. And that's one of the key points to go from average to fortune. Get smart. Now here's number 3. You've got to get going. All of the things that you've learned will not do you that much good if you don't put it into an action plan. You've got to get going. In my management and leadership seminar, we teach game plans, how to put all the good things that you've learned into action. Economic action, social action, personal action. How to make the changes and how to actually do the work, how to actually function. Get going, that's the key. Some people are ever learning, but they don't put it into action. They don't really take the action. It's like the man who keeps bringing materials to the building site and never builds anything. He keeps bringing in the sand and the gravel and the windows and the doors and the roofing material, and he just stacks up all these supplies, but he never builds anything. You've got to do something with what you've learned. You've got to take action. You've got to get going. So that's one of the most important things to learn, how to design your days, how to design your weeks, how to design the months so that you take the proper action to get the proper return that you're looking for, whether it's economic or personal. Get going. It's a major key. Now here's number 4. You must get excited. And not just the false enthusiasm of just pure positive thinking. You've got to get excited over some very basic things. One is, get excited over your ability to make yourself do the necessary things. Because discipline is major step 1 toward personal progress. And anytime a person wishes to, they can make major changes in their life, personally and socially and financially. It doesn't ever have to be the same after today. No telling what you could do today if you really wished to. The act of murder is a clear indication that a person in one drastic act can forever change the course of their life. It just happens to be in the negative direction. What I would ask you to do, starting today, is get excited about committing an act that's positive, an act that's constructive, to make the changes in your life that you want made, and to go the direction that you want to go. So that's number 4, get excited. Get excited about your potential. Human capacity is usually never the problem. Little children can learn several languages. We can learn to do the most incredible things. All we need to do is take the time to do it. So it's not a matter of capacity. It's a matter of judgment. It's a matter of excitement. It's a matter of will. And it's a matter of wanting to bad enough. So it's pretty exciting to know that any day you wish, you can change your life. Any day you pick out, you can make major changes. It doesn't ever have to be the same again. And that's exciting. Knowing that intellectually and personally, you can actually do the things that will make major changes in your life. That's number 4. Here's number 5. Number 5 is get away. I have found, especially in the last 15, 20 years, that there's an important thing called life balance. You've got to learn to get away. You must learn to get away and be alone. Learn to get away and reflect. Learn to get away and learn how to live as well as how to earn. How sad it would be to learn how to earn well, but not learn how to live well. You must balance your life. We teach something, especially in my staff, I teach something called lifestyle. Lifestyle is how you learn to live your life. Some people have money, but they don't even know how to spend it. They have time, but they don't know how to spend it. Some people are successful, but they don't know how to spend their success. They don't know what to do with it. They don't get joy from it. Rather, they get animosity. A father takes $5, crushes it, and throws it at his son and says, if you need it that bad, take it. Now, it's the same $5, but instead of dispensing it with joy, he dispenses it with animosity. That's the difference in not knowing how to live. It's called lifestyle. Then you've got to take time to cultivate good friends. You've got to take time to be with your family. You've got to take time to be with the people who are important to you, designing your life in those respects. Get away. Take the time. Reflect on your life. Recharge your batteries. Do some growing away from your enterprise. Then when you come back to your enterprise, after you have taken this time to balance your life, you will find that on the job, working on your enterprise, things will really go much better. So those are the 5 simple steps to go from average to fortune. Get serious, get smart, get going, get excited, and get away. There's usually about a half dozen things that makes 80% of the difference. There's usually about a half dozen things that makes 80% of the difference. Great formula. Now, it's not exactly half dozen, it's not exactly 80%, but you get my concept here. Here's another way to put it. Keep looking for the few things that makes the most difference. For your good health, there's not 1,000 things you have to do. Not 1,000 things every day. I'm telling you, about a half a dozen good health practices, and you'll take care of most of your health challenges. Okay? If you're going to set up an office, there's not a checklist of 500 things you need to look at every day. I'm telling you, there's about a half a dozen. A few things will take care of most of it. Now here's the challenge. Once you've found the few things that takes care of the most of the challenge, now spend most of your time on those few things. This we simply call time management. In the 2-day leadership weekend, one of my major subjects is time management. Here's what I call it. The best kept secret of the rich is what? Time management. What an incredible discovery I made one day when I found out that rich people have about 24 hours a day. right? And poor people have about what? 24 hours a day. Wouldn't that drive you mad till you found out what the difference was? How could you sleep nights till you found out what the difference was? Both have equal time, but an incredible difference in outcome. What makes the difference? Same time, but a totally different outcome. It's called time management. And here's part of it in a nutshell. Look for the few things that makes the most difference, then spend most of your time working on those few things. In our leadership series, here's what we learned. Here's why a lot of people don't do well. They major in minor things. They spend too much time on things that don't count. And what else? They spend too little time on things that would count. They've got the ratios mixed up. So we teach our children what? Don't spend major time on minor things, things that don't count. And don't spend major money on minor things, things that don't count. It's easy to get the ratios mixed up and suffer the consequences. In the last 10 years, a guy's bought 2 tons of donuts and 2 books. And he wonders why his life is devastated. Right away, we would come up with the answer, couldn't we? He spent far too much money on what? Donuts. Now, both donuts and books are okay, but this guy spent far too much money on donuts and not enough money on books. I'm telling you, that is the difference. The best kept secret of the rich. Don't spend too much money on things that don't count. Don't spend too much time on things that don't count. And don't spend too little time on things that would count. It's called the time management challenge. So, the few things, the half dozen, takes care of the big share of it. Good formula to use. Here's what we call these. Half dozen few. Basics. Basics. Fundamentals. If you're going to play basketball, right? You're going to be a pro someday. Hey, you got to master the fundamentals. Not 1,000 things. A few things you get very good at. Then you add your own flair and your own personality. But hey, if you want to do something extremely well and get well paid, you master the fundamentals, master the basics. Now, here's what's exciting about the fundamentals of life. Just jot that down. The fundamentals of life. Here's what's exciting about the fundamentals of life. Number one, there's just a few. There's not 1,000. There's just a few fundamentals of life and living well, success. Just a few fundamentals. Here's what else is exciting. Once you know them, you know them. Once you got it, you got it. Okay. And here's what else is exciting. There's no new ones. So you don't have to worry about being surprised. Because fundamentals are what? Old. 6,500 years of written history gives us the fundamentals of life. And these fundamentals are old. You got to beware of somebody who comes along with new truth. Say, no, truth is not new. Truth is what? Old. Old. Now, there might be a new way of looking at it, maybe a new way to apply it to the 20th century. But just because you've discovered it, it isn't called new truth. So truth is old. Beware if somebody says we've got a new fundamental. Say, no, that sentence doesn't even make sense. So be a little suspicious. Wouldn't you be suspicious of a guy who said we're manufacturing antiques, right? You got to come and see our plant work. You say, no. No, you can't manufacture antiques. Antiques are what? Oh.